Hello and welcome to Business Analysis Upskill. In this short video, I'll give you an overview of use cases. We'll talk about what are use cases, why as a business analyst you would write use cases, what benefits they give, and also we'll do a quick demo of use cases using use case diagrams. As a business analyst, your main job is to define and capture the requirements for whatever system, application, or process is being designed and developed. Now, there are many techniques available, and use case is one of those important techniques that you would use as a business analyst to analyze, model, and define requirements. It's quite a powerful technique purely because it's easy to depict, read, write, and understand. In simple terms, use cases are the different ways in which users will use the system and how the system will respond to the user's actions or requests. Use cases make it easy to define the requirements for the system that is being designed and developed, which makes it easy for the developer team to understand the requirements from a systems perspective and how a user would essentially use the system. Use cases are depicted in the form of a use case diagram, but that's only one part of it. Once you have depicted the use case in the form of a diagram, you further explain it or flesh it out by providing a textual description of the use case. So here's a sample use case diagram. It involves 4 key elements. The first one, which is the system that is being designed or developed. The second one is the actor, or essentially the users who use the system. An actor means the user, which could be a human user, a group, a specific role, or an entire organization, or an actor could even be a system, which is different to the system being modeled. The third key element to a use case is the actual use case that is being executed in the system. And the fourth element is an association. So the user, when they interact with the system, they execute use cases within the system. The association between these users and the use case in the system is the association. We'll understand this better once we do a demo, and I'll show you exactly how to make a use case diagram. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say you are a business analyst working in a company on a project which is setting up a new website for online research papers. And your job as a business analyst is to capture and define all the requirements for this new website that needs to be designed and developed. And why would you write this? You would do this because your developer team needs to understand the requirements so they can develop this website. And you as a business analyst have chosen use case technique to model and analyze the requirements. Before we start making our use case diagram, let's do some basic preparation. Remember, we talked about 4 key elements that form a use case diagram, the first one being system. In our case, it's an online research papers website, so that's the system being modeled. Who are the actors? Now you have to think, who are the users for this online research papers website? For the purposes of this short session, I'll keep it fairly simple. Let's say the first user for the website is a student or a research scholar who would use this website to look at different research papers and potentially use them or download them. The other key user for the website would be a website admin, for example, so that the website admin can use the website and upload new papers on it, or even run reports to see how the stats are going, how many people are using the website, how many downloads are being done, is the website running in a healthy fashion or not, so on and so forth. So we have clearly identified 2 actors, a student and a website admin. So now the next step would be to understand what are the key use cases involved in our system. Again, to keep it simple for this session, let's say we'll look at the student. So student is one of the users for the website. So now let's think from the point of view of a student. Why would a student use the website? The user would clearly use the website to search for research papers. So search papers is one of our important use cases. Once the user has searched the research papers, the next step for them would be to actually download them and read them. So maybe download papers would be the next use case in our case. From a website admin's perspective, a key use case for the website admin would be to make sure that there's new papers uploaded on the website. So upload papers could be an important use case from a website admin's perspective. Again, a website admin needs to run reports. So run reports is another use case. See how we have phrased the use cases. They always start with a verb which signifies an action. Search papers, download papers, run reports. So that's how a use case is written. The fourth step in the form of making a use case diagram is association. That's when you link all the relevant use cases to the users who are associated with the use case. Now let's quickly do a demo and understand these concepts. Okay, so to make a use case diagram, I'm using an application by the name Lucidchart. There are many applications you can use to make use case diagrams. Visio, Smart Draw, Visual Paradigm are a few of the applications. There's many more in the market. If you don't have any of these applications, don't worry. You can still use Microsoft Word or maybe PowerPoint and use the shapes to make use case diagram figures. For our online research papers website, we'll first draw the system boundary. The container you see here is the system. We'll call it online research papers website. So that's our system. Now the next stage would be to define actors. That's how an actor looks like in use case. So remember we had two actors, a student and the other actor we had was a website admin. So those are our two actors and this is our system that is being modeled. Now the next stage of making a use case diagram is defining use cases. A use case looks like an oval. See this? You drag and drop it here within the system because the use case gets executed in the system. So from our example, remember we had defined search papers as one of the use cases for a student. The other use case for a student was download papers. So those are the two use cases for a student. Now the fourth stage as part of making a use case diagram was associating. So we associate this student with these use cases and this signifies that these two use cases are associated with this student. A website admin is not searching papers and it's not downloading papers, but a student is. Similarly, we can define the use case for the website admin. So you may recall we had defined two use cases. One was upload papers and the other one was running reports. Finally, we associate these use cases with the website admin. In simple terms, that's how your use case looks like. So now it shows that a student is searching papers and downloading papers in the system, and a website admin is running reports and uploading papers in this system, which is an online research papers website. Now obviously that's a simple version. On a real project in a real environment, you would end up having several use cases and several interdependencies between use cases. Some use cases would include other use cases like a parent-child relationship. In some cases, a use case may extend from other use cases. But in this session, I won't cover all those details and all those complexities. I'll keep it simple for this session. Okay, now that we have made a simple use case diagram, let's think through this. Why is a use case so helpful? From a user's perspective, we'll take an example of search papers use case. The user is using the system to search papers. As a business analyst, this use case makes you think through the whole process. When a user searches for papers, what parameters would they be searching on? Once they get the search results, would they filter the search results? Would the users want to save their search? So on and so forth. All these are important clues because as a business analyst, that makes you think through all those steps and processes and lets you come up with requirements for the system. As part of this process, you also start thinking through the exception and error scenarios. In any use case, you would have a normal flow of events and also an exception or error scenario. For example, if you were trying to download a research paper, but you were not authorized to view or download it, maybe the system prompts you with an error message and doesn't let you download it. Now that's an important requirement that's captured as part of the use case. And once you've identified all the use cases of the system and the various requirements that are linked to each use case, then that's a big bonus for you because it helps your developer team to understand the requirements of the system, which helps them in designing and developing the system. We did talk about it earlier. Use cases are depicted in the form of a use case diagram, but also in the form of a textual description of the use case. Now in this short session, we have only done use case diagrams, but actual fleshing out of the use case happens through a textual manner. As part of writing the use case, you call out the use case description, use case ID, who the primary and the secondary actors are for the use case, what's a normal flow, as in what are the different steps that the user takes in the system, what's an exception flow, what does the system do in case of an exception scenario, what are the preconditions for the use case to start, what are the post conditions when the use case has finished, so on and so forth. We did not cover textual description of use cases as part of this session, but I do hope you got some value out of this session and you learned a bit about use cases. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to meeting you in one of our upcoming courses, and I wish you the very best in your business analysis journey.